Hello, everybody. Welcome to Josh Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades. My name's Josh Dell'Aria, your host. I know it's been so long since I've seen all you guys. I apologize. My computer's had so many issues in the last month or two. My camera died at one point, so I had to get myself a new computer with a better camera. And at that point, I had a little bit of difficulty figuring out how to work a lot of the video aspects on that new computer. So that's why I haven't had a video out in about 4, 5, 6 weeks or so. I want to welcome everybody who is joining me on Rumble. I have just made the move over there. So if you guys have not seen me on Rumble yet, you guys can go and look me up. It's JDME on Rumble. If you look for me there, you'll find me. Now, if you're joining me for the first time here, what I normally do is typically music reviews. I'll go ahead and go through a song from somebody that you probably haven't heard before. And I try to expose some, musicians uh, who haven't gotten as much publicity as I believe they deserve to get. But for today, we're going to do something a little bit different, which is something that I've done here and there throughout my time on YouTube. And sometimes I just like to have some little conversations with you guys about just some general trends that I see going on in the music industry today. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about today is the importance of telling the truth in music, and not your truth, not my truth, not somebody else's truth, but the truth. Now, there's been this kind of long-standing axiom, I guess you could call it, this kind of principle that a lot of musicians kind of hold to, that whenever they're at their best is when they're expressing themselves in the best, and they're expressing what they feel internally. However, there was an instance where a few friends of mine and I were having a discussion, and somehow music came up, and just for a brief moment. And one of the things we brought up about it was the objective of music, and how it wasn't really necessarily to express what comes from within, but it's really to express what is on the outside. It's taking an event or an object or a phenomenon and trying to describe that. As far as I've seen, I think in most of the music that I take a look at, it seems like songs that are more oriented toward the truth or more accurate in proportion to the truth, I guess the word is. Um, those seem to be the songs that stand out more to me when I listen to them. And I think when people are trying to capture their own feelings or their own thoughts, um, it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult to connect with, because in order for your audience to connect with what you think, they would also have to think what you think and have the same sort of experience. And it's very rare that two people will go through the same exact experience, and it's even rarer for them to go through that same experience with the same perspective. See, when you write about just something that you feel or just your perspective, it doesn't really take that much to do. But if you write about something outside of your perspective, such as a relationship, if you try to write about your significant other, how he or she is, or what he or she looks like, or if you try to write about some event in your life that influenced you, maybe some job that you really loved and you enjoyed, or some just something that happened to you, maybe a medical issue, something like that. That requires you to describe the situation as objectively as possible, because if you don't, your audience is not really going to understand what it is that you're talking about. But also in doing so, you would also have to bring in others' perspectives. And so therefore, when you bring in others' perspectives, you have more of a conglomeration that will lead you more toward the truth. I think about bands like Big Big Train. Big Big Train writes a lot about historical events. And, even if you don't know what those historical events were, you can research them and look at them in the same way that Big Big Train does, because they do the same thing. And so you can find out exactly what was going on, and then you can put yourself in that person's shoes. Um, Same thing, I think, with William Fitzsimmons. William Fitzsimmons is another one. He writes a lot about people in his life that go through a lot of tragedies. And so again, he's describing what's happening to other people and not necessarily how he feels about it. And I think that makes the music a little bit more amenable to people's, people's ability to connect, if that's the right word. Now, I'm not trying to say that you can't use your perspective at all. Like, I think that you can, you kind of have to at least um, filter everything through your perspective in the end. But the key is not to rely only on what you felt, to make sure that you get a sense of what's actually going on and you don't make the entire song about your feelings, if that makes sense. Um, you know, I don't think that necessarily every song should be completely objective. You can have a spin on it, but you don't want the entire song to be your spin, if that makes sense. And I'm also not saying that you can't like use your imagination, make something up completely that's, completely fictional and that would never happen in real life, but I also think that your audience needs to know that it would be completely fictional and they shouldn't confuse it for the truth. And likewise with perspectives too, they should also not necessarily see that as absolute truth. It's kind of what you believe is right. And in a lot of ways, I think musicians kind of, at least from what I've seen recently, have been kind of assuming that their perspective is correct. And I think we all tend to do this, and I'll put it this way: that we all have biases, and that's obviously true. And I know this is probably uncommon for people to think, but I don't think bias is necessarily a good or bad thing. I think it's a neutral thing. We all have had different experiences, and those experiences have shaped us into who we are. So in the end, there's nothing wrong with using your perspective, but what you want to avoid is trying to pass it off like it's the only perspective in the world and that it is the complete and absolute truth. So what do you guys all think? Do you guys disagree with me at all? If you do, I definitely want to hear from you because I always want to hear people who disagree with me. Because if I'm wrong, I want to know that I'm wrong and I want to know why I'm wrong. So if anybody does disagree with me here, please mention that in the comments below and tell me why. And if you agree with me, you can tell me that too. I don't mind. Um, and also, if you have anybody that you know that you think deserves some awesome recognition for some awesome music they have, and they haven't been featured as much to your liking, or if you have some awesome music that you want me to share with the world, let me know here. My email is joshdell'Ariasmusicalescapades@gmail.com, and you can find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/joshdmusicalescapades. And on that Facebook page too, I usually share a couple of songs every so often. I've been a little bit lazy with it lately, but usually every couple of days I'll go ahead and share something. And also, before I go, I'm also planning on having the top 20 of 2020 come around still. I know I've been a little bit away from a lot of 2020 songs, but I have been looking at a lot of them. It's just that I haven't really had the opportunity to review a heck of a lot of them on YouTube, and hopefully I can get some of them up here on Rumble as well. So I'm excited for the top 20. If you guys know anything that you guys think should get onto the top 20, let me know because it might end up in there. You never know. Thank you guys all for watching, and until next time, everybody, go make great music.